Okay, so Judy, today we're talking about chord construction, what makes a chord. We've talked about how each chord has three notes in it, that they have a root, a third, and a fifth, three notes. Just like in an F chord, we have an F, A, and C, F, A, C. C chord, we have C, E, G. G chord, we have G, B, D. But there's a way of kind of understanding how those notes are related to each other that make it all a little bit easier once you get it. On the piece of paper I sent you, it says chord construction, and then it says chords are made of three notes: the root, or the first of the chord, the third, and the fifth. Now I wrote those in descending order just because that's how we talk about them, but for the rest of the page I'm really writing them as if you would see them stacked up in music notation, or just like I do my little diagram. So in the beginning there, that very first part, that's the only time that I'm writing them in descending order, and that's just because I wrote them that way as I was thinking about them. So let's move on. I guess really, so each of those three notes that are in the chord, the root, the third, and the fifth, are related to each other by thirds, meaning the first note, let's just do everything as relates to the F chord right now. So in the F chord, we have the note F to start everything off. Okay. Now, when we play these chords on the guitar, on an F chord, you could have three Fs ringing at the same time. But what we're trying to decide is what are the three notes that are going to be played in that chord. Whether you decide, or whether the chord diagram tells us to play three of the root, two of the third, and one of the fifth, that's just the way the chord is made up when we play it, to kind of be able to play any combination of the notes that are the root, the third, and the fifth of that chord. So we're thinking melodically though. So we're going from the root of the chord F and playing the next note in the chord along our string. Okay? Sorry, so we have the first note F, the first or the root, and then the next note is the third of the chord, which is the A. Okay? And the next note in the chord is C. Alright? Now between the root F and the third A, we went up from here, we went 1, 2, 3, 4 frets to get to the fifth fret. F, A, 4 frets. Okay? You don't count this guy. So we're already on this note. So we went up 1, 2, 3, 4 to land on the A. Well, that is 2 whole steps, or 4 frets, okay? But whenever you move up 4 frets like that, we're going to start thinking about it as 2 whole steps. And eventually you'll just kind of eyeball it. I mean, when I'm doing it, I'm literally watching myself go 2 whole steps. Bloop, bloop, just like that. My eyes are going like that. I'm watching it bounce like that in my eye. You can do that if you like, but that's how I visualize it. Okay, now let's go to the next note of the chord. We're on A, and we want to go to the next note, C. Okay, A and C. We're still playing an F chord. Okay, we're playing the third note of the chord A, and the fifth note, C. The third and the fifth. And you go up, not 2 whole steps this time, but a whole plus a half. Okay, now you're really going a half plus a whole, but the interval ends up being the same, meaning it's still 3 frets to get to the C. Okay? A to C. 3 frets. Okay? And we're going to call that a whole plus a half. There's no right or wrong way really at this point to call it, because I'm not talking about this B flat between there anyway. So 3 frets, 1.5 steps. How about that? We'll call it 1.5 steps. Because whole plus half or half plus whole will make a difference eventually. So what I'm going to say is, let's start on the root F, move up to the third, which is 2 whole steps, and then move up 1.5 steps to the fifth. Let's do that again. Root F, the third is up 2 whole steps, and the fifth is up 1.5 steps. Okay? Now I want to come back down. Okay? Come back up, root F, up 2 whole steps, up 1.5 steps to the fifth. And we're going to stay on the fifth for a second, and we're going to go down a minor third, I just gave away what I was going to say, but go down three frets, which is a whole 1.5 steps, and then go down 2 whole steps. So what we did was we played 2 different types of thirds. Okay, there are 2 different types of thirds. This bigger one we did here, which is 2 whole steps, is a major third. The smaller one we did here, 1.5 steps, is a minor third. Just 2 different types of thirds to have. And what happens is, whenever you play a chord, you have essentially 2 thirds in there, and you have one of the thirds is going to be major and one of the thirds is going to be minor. When you're playing a major chord, this one down low is always major. Okay? So whenever it's a major chord, the distance between the first note of the chord and the second note of the chord, or the third really, the first and the third here are going to be, always going to be 2 whole steps or 4 frets. Okay, and then the distance between the third and the fifth is always going to be a minor third above that. Okay, always on any major chord, it's a major third followed by a minor third every single time. And just to show you that example, you'd play the 3 notes of the chord on the root. Okay, so it's the root, a major third, and then a minor third. And if we take the other 2 major chords that we deal with whenever we're playing in the blues, in this case the 4 chord and the 5 chord, let's just start on the F like we did. But then let's go to the B flat, which is here, and play the same rule. If this is a B flat chord and it's a major chord, we start on B flat, we move up 4 frets or 2 whole steps, right? Because it's a major chord, so it always has a major chord in the bottom. And then there's another third above that, which is a minor third. So we go a whole plus a half above that, or 1.5 steps. Let's do that B flat again. The B flat, okay? And we don't even need to think about the names of the notes. We're just thinking about how the notes are related to each other. So we have the B flat, and then the next note in a major chord is 2 whole steps above that. And the next note is going to be a minor third, which is 1.5 steps above that. Okay, let's do it the way we did a moment ago on the F. We're going to go up, and then back down. Okay, so when we did the F before, we did the root, went up 2 whole steps to play the third, went up 1.5 steps to play the fifth, and then back down. One more time. And then we're going to do the same thing on the B flat. Okay, so you've done the 1 chord, which is the F, the 4 chord, which is the B flat. Now let's do the other major chord in this key, and that is a C, the 5 chord. Okay, so we start on C, right here on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, and the rule still applies here. We still start on C, and let's just visualize it. Bloop, bloop. We go up 2 whole steps to get to the next note in the chord. Right? Let me show you that again. C. It's actually an E, but we're not going to think too much about that right now. We're going C, and the next note in the chord is 2 whole steps up. The next note in that chord, okay, remember it's a major third down low, and then above that is going to be a minor third, okay, which is 1.5 steps. Start on the C again, go up 2 whole steps, and then go up 1.5 steps. C, go up 2 whole steps, so it's a major third. Now we're going to go up a minor third, 1.5 steps. Let's come back down. Okay, here it comes again. Root, up a major third, up a minor third, back down. Okay, that's all I want you to get out of that this week. If you get to where you can just sort of play all of these in a row, that'd be awesome. So you're working on the 1 chord, and you do that over and over again. Then you do the 4 chord, and then you do the 5 chord. And then for ease, you can just go back to the 1 chord. And just do it over and over again until it feels good. Theoretically, I guess you could do that over the blues form, the 12-bar blues. We could talk about that later if that doesn't immediately make sense. But Anyway, so hopefully this diagram and this video will make it make sense a little bit. If nothing else, it'll spawn some questions and we can deal with them next week. All right, have a lovely week. I thought Adelaide just walked up, but apparently not. All right, have a good one.